KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So we have a lot of things going on in the world today, and most people are fast asleep. And I'm just gonna talk about a few things today and how I see maybe some of these prophecies coming to pass. Because I notice a lot of people have a problem taking all of the picture puzzles. I talk about taking the prophecies and bringing them together as pieces to make an image, right? Like a picture puzzle. And some people have a hard time doing that. And because they focus on the minute, sort of like what they do when they talk about whether or not Yeshua is the Father and the Father's the Son. They ignore a whole bunch of scriptures, right? And it makes you wonder sometimes what the motivation is. And they take scripture and take it out of context and play with words. And, so some people, they just don't get it. And I think it's the case with this because when you look at prophecy, right, in the end, that statue of Daniel, which is a Gentile statue, which is Gentile nations that ruled over Israel, that in the end, it is Yeshua himself that destroys it. He hits the 10 toes with a rock. He's the rock, right? Come from heaven, and he destroys the toes of the statue, which is the conglomeration of nations or the new world order, world government. And so if you didn't know, we are in world government. I know some of y'all ain't know that. Give me a 1 if you knew we were in world government. Give me a 2 if you give me a 1 if you knew we was in world government. 2 if you didn't. 3 if you were sort of like, I'm not sure. Because what's happening here, and a lot of people just don't get it, is the implementation of the world order. And this is why a lot of people get confused. And, some people think this is the Gog and Magog war, right? No matter how many times we talk about that. Oh, this is the Gog and Magog war and Christ is about to return. No, not physically yet, in my opinion. Too many prophecies left to be fulfilled. And so we're going to look at some of the things that's happening today and try to figure out what's really going on here. So this fight is not over. Texas vows to oppose Supreme Court razor wire ruling at border. The Supreme Court on Monday allowed Border Patrol agents to cut razor wire that Texas installed on the U.S.-Mexico border while a lawsuit over the wire continues. Texas has vowed to fight the Supreme Court's decision on Monday to allow Border Patrol agents to cut razor wire that the state installed on the U.S.-Mexico border. The justices, by a 5-4 vote, granted an emergency appeal from the Biden administration, which has been in an escalating standoff at the border with Texas and had objected to an appellate ruling in favor of the state. It comes after outrage when 3 migrants drowned at the Texas border after agents were barred from rescuing them. The concertina wire along roughly 30 miles of the Rio Grande near the border city of Eagle Pass is part of Texas Governor Abbott's broader fight with the administration over immigration enforcement. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said in a post on X on Monday, the Supreme Court's temporary order allows Biden to continue his illegal effort to aid the foreign invasion of America. The destruction of Texas border barriers will not help enforce the law or keep American citizens safe. This fight is not over, and I look forward to defending our state sovereignty. So the question is this: does Texas have the right to protect their own borders? Every state used to be independent, which is why they had their own army called the National Guard. The governor was pretty much the president over his state. They can always secede if they want to. Now, some people think that's what's going to happen. Maybe, maybe not. But we're going to talk about some of that. Because what we got to understand is nothing is like it used to be. Things have changed. If you notice, the laws do not work. People do what they want to do. Yeah, the law says, but it don't matter. Nobody's enforcing the laws. Why? Because things have changed. And everyone's going about their business thinking that all things remain the same. Now, remember, I'm in Texas, right? And, Governor Abbott was sending some of the migrants into other states like New York and Chicago, things like that, as opposed to returning them back to, across the border. So it makes you wonder, well, what's really going on here? Is he part of the globalist agenda or is he against it? Will there be consternation concerning this whole thing? Who knows? One thing I do know is that a lot of Texans don't like what they see, because Texans, they're like the good old American patriots. So they don't like none of that. But the migrants, a lot of them coming from Latin America, but not only Latin America. They're going to get some of their land back, right? Because I'm going to tell you what's happening. Basically, what's happening is America is part of the world community now. America has open borders. Why? Why does America have open borders? The same reason the European Union has open borders. Why? Because they are subservient to the United Nations. It's the same reason that, Julius Malema in Africa wants to have, the African Union and have open borders in Africa. They're part of the world governmental agenda, which is why Julius Malema is pro-alphabet, because the world governmental community is pro-alphabet. As I mentioned before, it's all a dialectic. It's all scripted. Now, it's sort of hard to determine where we are in the program or in the play or in the script. It's sort of hard to tell who's an enemy and who's friendly. It's sort of hard to determine whether or not they're on the same agenda because they pretend to be enemies. Sort of like the Republicans and the Democrats, right? Or the Republicans hate the Democrats hate the Republicans, but yet, guess what? They go eat with each other, they fellowship with each other, they pass the same laws, and if it's anti-Negro laws, hey, all the better, right? If you notice, just like when they started increasing the deletion of Negroes, ain't nobody saying nothing. South Africa go to the, Hague for the Palestinians, and very well right. But South Africa ain't go to the Hague for us. So what's really going on? I think it's a plan. I think it's a dialectic. But what's going to end up happening prophetically, which is sort of hard to determine. But I'm going to tell you what I think may happen prophetically. But the only way to determine that is based upon what we're seeing today. And what are we seeing today?
Well, Mexico just threw Joe Biden under the bus. In a very shocking revelation, Joe Biden announced that he wants to continue or at least allocate money to help fund and build the border wall, continue missing pieces of it between the United States and Mexico. The only issue is, in a recent meeting between US officials and Mexican officials, Mexico came out publicly and said, "You guys literally just told us you don't have any intentions and don't want to build this wall, so what are you talking about?" In fact, even the president of Mexico alluded to the fact that, Joe Biden, you made your own policy saying you're not allowed or won't allocate funds to the wall. So what is happening? Well, no one knows what's happening. Mexico is saying this was just a total publicity stunt to hopefully calm everyone down. And Mexico is also alluding to the fact of, hey, instead of building this wall, let's actually work together and try figuring out what the issue is in Mexico and possibly in the United States. So was Joe Biden caught in a lie? 50-50. Maybe he actually does want to build the wall, but in all reality, I don't think legally he can build the wall due to his own policy.
He doesn't want to build the wall. The reason why he doesn't want to build the wall because this is international policy. This is part of Agenda 2030, right? But it's also the fall of Babylon. I know some of y'all think the Vatican is Babylon. Yet no prophecies happening concerning the Vatican. But a whole bunch of prophecies happening concerning America. The agenda here is open borders. Why? Because we're now global citizens. And because you're a global citizen, you're not going to own any land, just like Klaus Schwab said. You're not going to own any property. You're not going to own any cars, and you're going to eat Z-bugs. And you're going to have to share your allocated land and your allocated home that the government allows you to live in so long as you go along with the program. See, all of these world leaders ain't telling you what's really happening. But here's the deal. You have a bunch of people in America who have a lot of pew-pews. What is a pew-pew? Y'all know what a pew-pew is. If y'all listen to Brother Rojo, pew-pew. America have a lot of those things. And America have a lot of people who believe in the Constitution. They have a lot of people who carry a lot of pew-pews in their cars and pew-pews in their homes. And they delete a lot of people with their pew-pews. Yeah, boomsticks. So how do you get people who have their little pew-pews to go along with the New World Order? You got to destabilize the country. You have to break up the country. You have to make sure that people understand that your rights are gone. See, you black folks, you Negroes, y'all already know you ain't got no rights. You already know you ain't a citizen because the laws don't apply to you, right? You already know that the Constitution don't apply to you, even though they say you're a citizen. Why? Because the policies are never enforced. So understand what we got here is a failure to communicate. we got a failure to communicate. What are we not communicating here? That we're in world government. You're a world governmental citizen. And so you have the destruction of Babylon because Babylon, the way it is, cannot be part of a global system. America, the way it is, cannot be a part of the global system. Why? Because people in America think they got rights. People in America think they have freedoms. People in America think they can carry pew-pews. But America is slowly being taken over. Their rights are being replaced. Soon their land is going to be replaced and their pew-pews are going to be taken away from them.
See, they're always trying to scare you when it's black and brown people at the border seeking asylum. Because watch these videos of all these white people at the border and nobody seems to care. Watch.
Where are you guys from? Russia? Russia? You guys, can I ask you guys a question? Can I ask you a question? Okay. Where are you guys from?
We from Belarus.
From
Belarus.
Belarus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's middle Russia and Ukraine.
Look, I want everybody to be able to seek asylum, but I'm just tired of even the news talking about black and brown migration as invasions, and white people are not even spoken about. I mean, would you have known that since the Ukraine-Russia war started, 1 million Russians have left? Would you have guessed that 6.3 million Ukrainians have left the Ukraine and gone to other countries? And just an honorable mention, over 500,000 Israelis have left Israel since the conflict started. Seriously, in the last year and a half, you have almost 11 million white people who have left their home country and moved around the world, and nobody gives a shit. But if you have black and brown people who are escaping the atrocities that were created by the Western world, now it's a fucking problem. It has to be on the news every fucking day. So stop trying to use black and brown people as a way to fearmonger. We're also coming to the U.S. to look for a better life like these white people are.
So, y'all got to be, a little thick-skinned today because I can't control what these people say with they cussing. All right. But understand that, them people, from Russia, who we supposed to be at war with, you got people who coming from Russia. And, I ain't got a problem with it, mind you, because this ain't my land. I don't care about it like that. You got people coming from Russia to the U.S., and they're being allowed in, right? And nobody's talking about, hey, you got a bunch of Russians coming in and they're taking over everything and they're taking over. No, it's only when the Mexicans and the Negroes come, from Africa. When they come, it's a problem. But everybody's coming to America. Why? Because the door is wide open. Now, why is the door wide open? The door is wide open because we're now a world order. America does not have the right to their own land and property because they're part of the global commons. You know how part of Africa was part of the British Commonwealth? Same thing. Now America's part of the global commons. And so what's happening is they're moving people in. Now, some people think the issue here is that, them folks can't reproduce like that anymore. That may be part of it. But the other part is, because here's the thing, they just, deleted millions of people, over the last few years. So they can't be too concerned about, reproduction. And maybe that's because reproduction in the future, as I showed you in some shows in the past, is going to be done through science, right? Can we say incubator babies? Incubator babies are continuing, that's all. See, the natural way of reproducing is going to be removed. So I don't think that's the biggest issue here is reproduction, because they plan on doing it through science. So, which means there's going to, in their minds at least, there's going to be less Israelites, Negroes, because you ain't going to be able to afford to, get reproduced through science. So right now, then, the question is, what's with the immigration and the migrations? What's the point? Why the massive relocation of people, not only in America, but around the world, because Sweden has a whole bunch of Africans, right? They were going to pay Rwanda $240 something million to take in some Africans from the UK. Everybody's dealing with mass migration issues. Why? Because they don't need us like that. Now, what they do want to do is control the system and control the people, control reproduction. I told you, control when you take a dump, control when you take a leak. They want to control what you think. One thing you have to say, we are right on track. We are right on track, right? We've talked about this since 2016, but the people act like we never talked about it. People act like we never brought this stuff up. People act like we never talked about Ukraine before, and Russia, and World War III, and all of this stuff happening. People act like we never said anything. Now, some people be quick to call, your boy Yacob a prophet. I said, nah, I'm just a teacher. I'm just reading the word, and this is how I see it. But the question is then, how does this relate prophetically? Why is this important prophetically? We're going to have to discuss that a little bit.
He'd been conducting interviews with migrants who crossed into the U.S. Your reaction to that answer, soon you will know who I am.
If you are smart enough, you will know who I am. If you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am.
They have to consider whether or not there is an invasion going on. I have asserted in court that there is an invasion going on in the United States of America, and that videotape typifies why there is such an invasion.
So migrant tells border agents, soon you will know who I am. See, we talked about this. We told y'all, America's being invaded. And now the governor is talking about this particular guy saying, you're going to find out soon why I'm here. We've been telling y'all that. America's been sold out. We are part of a global commons now. New world order. They're going to force you to eat Z-bugs and to take your chip implant. Not me. Either the Most High get me out of here or I go be with him, but not me. So they're telling you why they're here. He pretty much told you why he's here. Because he said, soon you will know why I am here. Well, why couldn't you just say why you're here? Because he's here to cause some trouble. Why? Because they let him in. Why? Because they're in World War III. Why? Because they're changing the rules. Americans got to know that they're no longer Americans, but they're global citizens now. So all of the migrants are coming to America, going across Europe. Why all of a sudden thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people from all around the world making their trek over to the U.S. because they've been told you can go now. Remember during the shutdown, I played a video in Australia and the guy says we're now in the New World Order. He wasn't lying. We are now in the New World Order. And you're not an American anymore. You're a global citizen. You have no rights. Everyone's rights are equal. You got a house? No, you don't have a house no more. You got to share it. You got land? No, you don't have land no more. You got to share it. You got to take care of the migrants. You got to take care of the people coming across the borders. You got to share your food. Can we say socialism? Can we say communism? How come you think the veterans aren't getting any health care? They don't care about Americans no more. You ain't got no rules and no laws no more based upon the Constitution.
So hip hop artist 50 Cent just posted this on his Instagram, and I can't even believe this is a real article. California becomes the first U.S. state to offer health insurance to all illegal immigrants. He goes on in the caption and said, I don't understand. This is going to cost taxpayers $2.6 billion every single year, and veterans don't even get free health insurance. And what he doesn't also go on to say is that not only are they paying for their health insurance, Fox News, Newsweek, they're all reporting that they're also going to be paying for their gender transitions. I mean, think about this. You come across the border, you get a free phone. Then you get a free flight. Hey, where you want to go? We're going to fly you across the country, wherever you want to go. On top of that, if you come to California, we're going to pay for your health insurance. Oh, by the way, and if you don't feel like you're a boy, we'll cut off your Johnson for free and let the U.S. taxpayers pay for it. Government is a joke. I don't even know why we pay damn tax.
Don't worry, you won't be paying taxes anymore because you're a global citizen now and you're going to get your universal basic income. So you're not going to be making much anyway to pay into the system. Why? Because you're in the new system. You don't have no rules. You got rules, but you don't have no laws that abide and protect your rights. No, those days are gone. That's why your veterans aren't getting any health care, but migrants are getting health care. I ain't got a problem with it personally. Jacoba, why don't you have a problem with the migrants and the immigrants? Why you don't have a problem with them getting health care? You know why I don't have a problem with them getting health care? You really want to know? Because most of these migrants come from Latin America. This their land anyway that they stole from them. Now, guess what? They got to give some of it back. Know for a fact, you reap what you sow. See, we told y'all that. You're going to pay for the sins of your ancestors. Not only that, the Bible says y'all going into captivity. Now, what that captivity looks like is different. Gentiles. This is a new system. Just like this system was built to keep us enslaved and keep us at the bottom. Now, guess what? Join the club, Gentiles. White privilege ain't going to exist no more. And this is probably why there will be civil disturbance. I'm going to say it that way. Because these people ain't going to let this happen without a fight. Oh, no. The Karens and the Kens that be messing with black folks and messing with people who are from other countries, who are not the majority. They're not going to allow their nation that their founding fathers gave them be taken away so easily. Oh, no. Pew, pew.
Is Texas about to go to war with the federal government? I think we might. This is how civil war starts, guys, because there's a mess at the border that, it is weird and scary. And now, as of today, the federal government has said, move out of the way. You don't have a right to defend it. They have a right to cross as many of them as they want and get out of the way, or we will arrest or fine you. And I don't think that's going to go over very well. So this is how civil war starts. This is history in the making, guys. If you are a writer, start taking notes. Start taking notes of the dates and the events, because there's some historical things that are going to happen. Some change is going to happen. Texas has already been on a pathway to try to secede from America. That's been the plan for a while. And there's even some voting that's going to happen for the first time this year leading up towards a secession. Who knows if that'll really happen, but these are the kind of things that can definitely tip the scales. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens on a historical basis. If something were to make it happen, I would say this could be the thing.
So, to me, they sound sort of excited. At least she sounds a little bit excited that there will be a civil war. Now, according to what I see happening, I think she's right. Knowing how the majority do, I think she's right. You know, we know how the right wing is. We know how the Trump followers are. We know how even some of the quote unquote liberals are. This is America. This is our home. Home of the brave and the free. But understand this. They know. Who's they? The powers that be. They know that America cannot stay together as a unified whole, because as a unified whole, you're stronger. So therefore, they have to cause what? The famous thing that they always do, division. America has to be divided. The states have to get some independence. And they all are going to be a part of the new world order global system. And so people aren't going to be able to come together because, you know, one state is going to be against another, you know, a red state against a blue state, blue against the red. So what's going to happen is there's going to be disturbance. There's going to be chaos. That's why they made the movie called Civil War coming out. Because in the end, America has to be brought down to their knees. Americans have to be brought down to their knees. America has to be without food, air, water. Well, not air, food, gas. If they're without air, they're in trouble. Let's say clean air. But Americans have to get to the point where they call for the world order to bring peace, to bring stability back to the nation. But the nation is going to be divided. A new system, there's a new sheriff in town. And most people ain't going to tell you this. Why? Because they're going along with the old prophetic scenario of the Gentiles, of the Eurocentric Christians, waiting for the rapture, waiting for the Antichrist. Now, I'm not saying the Antichrist not coming. I just don't think he's coming right now. So what's coming? The 10 toes. What's coming? World War III. What's coming? A new system. What's coming? Partly strong, partly weak. 10 toes. Part of iron, part of clay. In the days of these 10 shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom that shall never end. Can we say the nation of Israel? Can we say the two sticks coming together? Ezekiel chapter 37. But all of this is tied into the idea of migrants and migration. Why? How do you connect the two, Yacoba? How do you bring these things together? See, the Antichrist spirit is at work, but the Antichrist obviously isn't here because he's not on the stage. Ain't nobody here bowing and worshiping him, and nobody took his mark and buy, trade, or sell. I know some people think the lollipop was the mark of the beast, but it's not. It wasn't. But I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people, you know, who got easily manipulated into that might be manipulated into the mark. Because guess what? The time of the mark of the beast is going to be harder than it was during the time of the lollipop. The time of the mark of the beast, you ain't going to work unless you have the mark. You ain't going to get medical aid unless you have the mark. You ain't going to eat unless you have the mark. I told y'all we are in those times. I told you that the things that were happening was concerning, and we're here. I know tail ministries, all they got is doom, gloom. I mean, hey, we're a prophetic ministry. Well, what else is going to be?
If you live in Texas, you need to have some gratitude and be very thankful, because I'm getting ready to tell you something that's going to impact everybody who made the decision to move from other states into Texas and all Texans. Okay, hear me out. And you're going to love this video, because when you understand what's about to happen in our state and what's on the table right now, you will understand how powerful this could be. And it's already happening right now. So, quick story. I'm happy right now because I just filled up my wife's car, right? And it only took me $32. The gas was $2.33. Now, why is that something major? Because around this country, gas is still up. But in Texas, gas is $2.33. So here's what you have to understand and what Governor Greg Abbott is doing. Right now, there's a petition that's out for everybody of whether or not Texas will become its own country, have its own money, its own laws, its own army, everything. Why would that be something that people would want? Well, the economy in Texas is becoming the number one economy in this country. So will it be a fight with all the 49 other states trying to stop this from happening? Yes. The president don't want this to happen because that revenue is stuck in Texas, and it's jumping from all the big major companies are coming from all over this United States into Texas. So imagine, and this is crazy too, guys. What I've heard is they are trying to create their own currency. So Texas will have its own currency backed by gold, right? This is some amazing stuff, and there's no place in this world like Texas. It's so big, it's so beautiful. The people, everything, you can't beat it. But being our own country will be something very, very powerful for every single Texan. And I'm saying this from somebody who moved from the number one state, which was California, had the number one economy, still has the number one economy, but that's quickly changing, to Texas. Guys, this is an amazing time that we are living in. And I want you guys to remember everything that's going on right now and the steps that we're taking to make Texas its own country.
So, brother comes from California. He moves to Texas. He likes Texas. He likes the fact that, Texas is building up their economy, has a lot of the major corporations. He likes the fact that Texas might end up seceding from the Union because everybody been rumor milling that for generations. Now, I've been in Texas for over 20 years. One thing I could tell you is, most of Texas is racist. DFW and Houston might be a little better than everywhere else, but most of Texas is racist. You think DeSantis is racist? Texas is racist. You think they're going to be welcoming black folks in like that? When they got all the so-called jobs and low price gas, guess what? Anybody trying to move to Texas is going to be what? A migrant. Good luck trying to get in here because they're going to be putting up walls for U.S. citizens. Good luck trying to get in here because you black folks ain't going to be allowed in. The ones here are going to be discriminated against. Don't get it twisted. See, brother don't know. Vito or Texas, you still can't drive through there at night. Let's not get it twisted. Texas is still passing laws that's not going to teach black history. Don't get it twisted. Texas could be as bad as Florida. Now, I don't think anybody as bad as Mississippi. But you think they're going to be letting y'all in here? You think they're going to be treating Negroes nice if they do secede from the Union? The only thing protecting y'all right now is the so-called Constitution and Civil Rights Bill that they have to at least pretend to enforce. Texas ain't going to want y'all. Texas don't want no Israelites, don't want no Negroes, don't want no black folks. Don't get it twisted. That's why most black folks live in major cities. I told you I've been there over 20 years. They be talking about them northern aggressors. Don't get it twisted. See, brother from California, he don't know. What did I tell y'all gonna happen? What did I tell y'all gonna happen? Somebody out there in the chat. What did I tell y'all gonna happen? Does it not look like it's happening? Oh yeah, Louisiana ain't too good, and I'm from Louisiana. Don't get it twisted. Most of America ain't welcoming of no Negroes. But see, brother think he's an American citizen, and now he's a Texan, and he's going to be accepted in their new breakaway republic. No. Yes, that's what I said. They're going to push us out. Does it? Give me a 1 if you think I was right about that. Give me a 2 if you think I was wrong. Give me a 3 if you don't know. Because it looks like they're going to push us out to me. Brother living in a fantasy world. Texas ain't no better than none of these other places. Not as a whole. The bigger cities are better than the smaller cities. But you will remain a slave, Neo, in Texas. Don't get it twisted. Don't be deceived. Texas don't love no Negroes like that. Louisiana don't love no Negroes like that. They tolerate us because we're here. They tolerate us because they brought us here, and they had to let us go because, they couldn't keep dealing with us trying to rebel as slaves. So they had to create the system to keep us in control. But how does this relate to our exodus? Why? Because they're going to push us out. But guess what? The world is changing for them as well. They're not going to own no houses and no land. They're going to have their 15-minute cities, even in Texas. They might have let's say Texas do secede. They may have a little bit more freedoms. But don't get it twisted. Everybody part of the global commons and part of the world order. Everybody, every nation, every president, every governor, every mayor, they're all part of the agenda. Don't get it twisted. Now, so why did they go through all the rigmarole and act like they all against each other? Because it's called a script. It's called social engineering. But they ain't gonna have no rights. You ain't gonna own nothing. It's already happening.
No matter how many times we call Child Protective Service or NYPD, they don't show up. We can't physically go into that trailer with children in it.
They ain't gonna have no rights. In another video, the guy who owned the trailer said, you know, he wanted to get the people out of their trailers. And he said they wouldn't let him. He said because there's a law in New York that if they got children, you got to protect the children. So the guy uses that truck to make a living. He uses that truck to, you know, haul stuff and deliver stuff. And they told him, you can't do nothing about it. One day you're going to come home, those in New York and California, and you're going to see some people living in your house or living in your backyard. And ain't a dang on thing you're going to be able to do about it. Because you're living in a new system. Like I say, I ain't got no dog in this fight. You know why? Because this ain't my home. I don't care like that. I know some of y'all say, I'm an American. Some of y'all even believe this is where we're from. Oh, you know, we ain't never was slaves. We ain't never come here. America's our home. This is the real Israel. Good luck staying here. See, I don't care like that because, to be honest with you, they're just reaping what they've sown. But remember, in Chicago, the people were like, hey, we, you know, the Israelites, the black folks, the Negroes, they said, look, we tired of this. Y'all keep bringing the immigrants in. Y'all giving them money. Y'all putting them up. Y'all taking over our schools. Y'all taking over all our resources. Y'all don't give us nothing. Why they in the black neighborhoods? Because y'all about to leave. Whether they kick you out, push you out, make you run. But see, the thing is, when the war comes, you're going to leave voluntarily. When the war comes, you're going to be a refugee. I told you that.
Why do you think they're doing this? Why would they be bringing in these tens of thousands of people, 20 buses a day, 1,000 more per day? Why would they be doing this?
Listen close.
The only reason that I can see that they would be doing this is to replace us. And we say Trump 2024 because Trump is the only one who's going to do something about this and partner with all of America. This is where all of America.
This is in Chicago.
Got to come together and put a stop to this. We have to send these people back where they come from.
Facts.
This is going to explode violently.
Listen,
it's going to explode on multiple fronts.
they are trying to replace us.
The mayor and
it's clear.
Doesn't care. And since they don't care, then we must go red. We must,
in my opinion,
all of America, and we
let's link up.
We have to do something about it.
Let's link up.
For every elected official that didn't step up, and all those that supported this mass, I mean, wipe out of our communities. We coming for you.
We coming.
Trump gets ready to
Now you got black folks relying on Trump. Trump, save us, Mr. Trump. Save us, Mr. Trump. Weren't they just mad at Trump like a few years ago? Wasn't Chicago voting for the Democrats? They think Trump cared? No, Trump is part of the agenda. Everybody's part of the agenda but the common man. But see, they ain't got nowhere else to put their hope. Because guess what? Half of them Israelites, they don't know they're Israelites. Half of them don't know the Most High. Half of them don't know we're living in prophetic times. Half of them just like living in a fantasy world, right? All this stuff happening, all these judgments, and people still don't repent, just like the Bible said. I tell you, nobody's safe. It's the elite taking over. It's the you know, the terrorists taking over. I told y'all we need the Most High. I told y'all we need to fast and pray. I told y'all. Don't let nobody lie to you. Now let me take a list right now. Like I say, I'm just counting on my list of accuracy. Let's go look at my videos in 2016 and see what's happening and see if probably 99%, if not more, of what I said has come to pass. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm right also about the divinity of the Messiah as well. Maybe I'm right as well that Yeshua and the Father are the same. Maybe I'm right because I got a good track record right now. For y'all that's new, go check my videos out since 2016 and see how accurate this ministry has been. I'm just saying. Maybe I know a little something. Israel got to get ready because guess what? Israel is being made uncomfortable. You not going to want to be here. Ain't nobody love you. Haven't you figured that out yet? Ain't nobody love you but the Most High and your own people. That's it. Ain't nobody care about no Negroes. I don't even care if you marry them folks. They marry you and push you off of ships. They marry you and stab you in the stomach. They marry you and put a pop, pop, pew, pew. I'm just saying. Ain't nobody gonna help you but the Most High, because ain't nobody love you but the Most High. Y'all ain't figured that out yet? Come on now. Ain't nobody like Negroes but Negroes. Ain't nobody love Negroes but the Most High. He's our only hope. Don't be looking to no Trump now. Don't be looking to no Greg Abbott. Don't be looking to none of these quote unquote Gentiles. They don't care about you. Haven't you figured that out? Let me ask you a question. How do y'all feel about fleeing now? I'm not saying you can flee. I never said you can flee. I can't flee right now, but I know I'm going to have to at some point. How do you feel? Feel a little different about that now? The term refugee and migrant are often used interchangeably in public discourse, but they have distinct meanings under international law and policy frameworks. Refugee. A refugee is someone who has been forced to flee their country because of persecution. This is what the Bible says is going to happen. Go read Jeremiah 50:51. You're going to be forced to leave because of persecution, war, or violence. What you think gonna happen when this quote unquote civil war kicks off? Ain't nobody like Negroes. A refugee has a well-founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. They are protected by international law, specifically in 1951 Refugee Convention, which outlines the rights of the displaced, as well as the legal obligations of states to protect them. The term refugee is often associated with the right to seek asylum in another country. What do you think gonna happen, y'all, when this civil war kicks off? What you think gonna happen during this transition into the global new world order? You think everybody gonna be looking out for the Negroes? They're already passing laws against you. They already took away. They're taking away some of your rights, civil rights. They're already taking away some of your voting rights. They're already taking away teaching your history, critical race theory. Anything you do now is woke if it has to do with black folks, but they also try to tie that in with alphabets. See, wokeism is now synonymous with alphabet and black folks. I'm just saying. Who gonna come to your aid but the Most High? I'm telling you. Ain't nobody like no Negroes. Y'all don't be listening to me. Did y'all see what happened in Houston with the 3 judges running against them 3 white judges? Trying to stop them from being able to run against them? Come on now, that's Texas. That's Houston. What you think gonna happen when all hell break loose? They already do. See, here's the thing. I told y'all what's happening is they're already putting the laws in place so when things change in their state, you ain't gonna have no rights. You ain't gonna be able to run for judge Because that old system, that world system, that national system, let's say called the United States, going to change because America's being broken up. It's going to be broken up. What did that guy say? They say, why are you here? You're going to find out why I'm here. They know he's here. They know the Russians here. They know the Chinese are here. I'm just saying, when has black folks ever been cared about? When did they ever care about taking care, protecting your rights and protecting, making sure that you have a job and making sure that you and your family eat? When did that ever? It ain't gonna happen. Ain't nothing changed. Has anything changed with them people? No. I'm not saying there's not one or two good ones. I'm saying as a people group, they don't like them some Negroes. A migrant, on the other hand, is a broader term that refers to any person who moves from their place of usual residence, whether it be across an international border or within a state, regardless of the reason for the move, the legal status of the individual, or whether the move is voluntary or involuntary. Migration can be driven by a variety of factors, including economic, social, political, or environmental reasons. Unlike refugees, migrants are not specifically protected under international law, although they are protected by the laws of the country in which they are present and international human rights laws generally. In summary, the key difference lies in the reason for their movement and their legal status under international law. Refugees are forced to move due to conflict or persecution and have specific protections under international law, whereas migrants move primarily for other reasons like economic or family reunification and might not have the same level of legal protection. See, when the Bible says flee, it's saying we're going to be refugees. Come on now. But I'm waiting for the gathering. Maybe that is part of the gathering. Maybe things not going to play out the way you thought it was going to play out. Migrants protect not marginalized. I want to live in Finland and be a doctor or dentist, said Roma, who lived in refugee and migrant camps in Turkey, Greece, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. She speaks 5 languages, paints, has the best grades in school. Acala's platform support to the education of the refugee and migrant children in Serbia, responding to the you-know-what crisis through online learning. A project of UNICEF and others was launched to support digital learning. International migration has traditionally been discussed primarily in terms of its socioeconomic costs and benefits. Increasingly, however, the human cost is coming into focus. The scale of international migration has substantially increased in recent years and has become a truly global phenomenon, with more than 280 million people estimated to live outside their country of origin. Understand that the world government loves migration. Why? Because migration removes from the individual loyalty to your ethnic group, loyalty to your tribe, loyalty to your nation. This is why you have mass migration. It's called social re-engineering. It's sort of like black folks, right? We the models. Black folks don't recognize black folks no more. There's no black culture no more. Black folks marry them folks, the oppressor, the colonizer. Black folks don't recognize the fact that black folks have a common enemy, a common struggle. Black folks say, I'm foundational Black American. Black folks don't want to unite with Africa because they're over there. They don't care about us. Black folks don't trust black folks. They don't do business with black folks. See, this was going to happen on a global basis. Everybody ain't going to unite anymore ethnically. Everybody's going to be a global citizen, specifically those living in Western countries. But understand, in my opinion, according to the scriptures, if you believe the scriptures, we're leaving. We're going home. And apparently, Africa, even though it's going to be working along with the global 10-toe kingdom, is not going to be fully integrated in it, which is why the kingdom is partly strong, partly weak, part of iron, part of clay, the 10 toes. Who's a migrant? The UN Migration Agency, International Organization of Migration, defines a migrant as any person who is moving or has moved across an international border or within a state away from his or her habitual place of residence, regardless of the person's legal status, whether the movement is voluntary or involuntary, what the causes of the movement are, what the length of the stay. Bashanti, her home in Nepal, to work as a housemaid in Lebanon. Upon returning home, she found that the earnings she sent home had been spent, and she faced negative attitudes. After years of struggle, she found the future we want, a reintegration program for returned women migrant workers by UN Women and IOM. The program helped Bashanti become financially independent and launch her own business. Don't think Negroes going to get that kind of benefit, right? But the Most High going to step in, and, we're going to see, I think how things going to play out. Economic, social, and cultural rights. Issues related to the enjoyment of economic, social, and cultural rights are particularly crucial for many migrants. Very often, they are confronted with severe discrimination in housing, education, health, work, or security. And Negroes deal with that all the time, and we're not migrants. Laws discriminating against non-nationals, along with programs and policies that fail to address their specific needs and vulnerabilities, often result in migrants and their families being unable to access basic services, or only being able to do so at levels that do not meet international human rights standards. For migrants in an irregular situation, their vulnerability is compounded because access to remedies is often unavailable as a result of their status. Discrimination against migrants. In many cases, migrants are well integrated into the economy and society of the country of destination. See, you're going to become an American if you move to America. If you move to Spain, you're going to become a Spaniard. If you move to the UK, you're going to become, an Englishman. However, those working in the informal sector and those in an irregular situation are often among the most vulnerable. Migrants in an irregular situation tend to be disproportionately vulnerable to discrimination, exploitation, and marginalization, often living and working in the shadows, afraid to complain and denied their human rights and fundamental freedoms. That ain't going to change. See, the world government, the United Nations, the WEF, they don't care about that stuff. They talk it. But they already know black folks, at least according to them, going to be at the bottom. Mexicans and all that stuff going to be at the bottom unless they're part of the governmental ruling structure. A human rights approach to global migration governance is needed to ensure the protection of human rights and all migrants and their families. Migration and the 2030 Agenda. With the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development and its goals, we have an unmissable opportunity to empower migrants to fulfill their development potential, which can in turn have positive ripple effects for communities locally, regionally, and globally. By following a family's migratory journey, these linkages are brought to life.
Migration is a global phenomenon that touches us all. Many of us know someone who has moved to another country or have migrated ourselves. By embracing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we have an unmissable opportunity to harness the development potential of migration, to support beneficial outcomes, starting with reducing inequalities and putting the right policies in place to ensure safer, more orderly and regular migration. Migration has been a long-standing coping strategy for people to pull themselves out of poverty, to cope with lack of basic infrastructure, or search for better opportunities. People's reasons to move can also be influenced by conflict, natural hazards, or environmental conditions linked to climate change. And in a global context of rapid urbanization, movement of people is increasingly taking place to cities and urban areas, enriching local communities and societies, both where migrants are and where they come from. The knowledge, skills, and experience that migrants bring and gain in new places contribute to the labour force in key sectors such as health, and play a vital role in building diverse and productive societies. Migration can empower women economically and socially and help people realise their personal aspirations and educational potential. This encourages innovation, which benefits science, technology, and industry. With increased earnings, migrants are able to send financial support to family members back home. This is critical to help reduce hunger and strengthen the resilience and sustainability of poorer communities. But none of these benefits are guaranteed. We can only achieve all of this by upholding human rights, fostering peace and security, ensuring equal access to justice and protection from exploitation for all. We also need to build strong partnerships in our cities, within our countries and regions, and globally through international cooperation. Migration is everyone's business. Together, we can ensure that we leave no one behind.
So it's a global agenda, migration, and to help people to move up in the socio-economic status. But when someone moves up, someone moves down. Negroes already at the bottom. We can only go up, but we're not part of the plan. I told you, it's the Most High who's going to get us out of here. I told you, the Exodus got to be near. I can't give you a date and time, but based upon what I'm seeing, what else is there? As I mentioned before, the UK paid Rwanda an additional $126 million for contested migrant plans. See, all of this stuff is on a global level. It's not happening by happenstance, obviously. But what's the role of the Israelites? What's the role of the Negroes? What's the role of the true Jews? We going back to the continent. Here's the thing. Most people of the majority, they're not going to want to live in Africa, at least not right away. Especially the Americans and the Europeans, because they don't like Negroes like that. But it's going to be good for us, assuming we make it past the sword. We'll get the clean air. We'll get the clean water. We'll get the clean food, organic food. We won't have to eat Z-bugs. While the Gentiles slowly get integrated into the beast system. While the Gentiles live in their 15-minute cities with their electric cars that they turn off when they want, and their AI-controlled thermostats, their AI-controlled social tracking system that says you can only get 2 bananas today. And if we let you eat meat, it's going to be the lab-grown meat. You get 2 ounces of that a week. Oh, you got to do what we say now, Gentiles. I know you thought you was an American, home of the free and the brave, but now you got the chip implant. Now you're part of the social tracking system. Yes, but I'm living in Texas. I thought Texas was going to be safe. No, I told you. Everybody's part of the world order. Everybody's been sold out. Everybody's been betrayed. You thought it was just the Negroes everybody betrayed? What you do unto others ends up happening to you. If you don't stand for the rights of others, no one gonna stand for your rights when the time comes. That's where we're at. Y'all let us get shot down in the streets. Guess what? Thing is, in the future, you'll probably be dealing with robots. In the future, the police gonna be R2D2 or C3PO. In the future, they don't know anything as mercy. In the future, they don't know anything as white skin. In the future, they don't know anything about white privilege. Like the Rockefeller told, what's the guy name? He was the director of Trading Places. What was his name, family? It's on the tip of my tongue. He's dead now. But the Rockefeller says, look, according to this guy, he said, look, why don't you come along with us? Why you care about what happened to them people? Why don't you join us? You can have your own chip, and your chip can say, don't F with me. That's what he said. He said that's what the Rockefellers told him. See, the Rockefellers going to have their chip that say, don't F with them. Because everybody going to get a mark. Not me. But rich and poor, free and bond, going to get a mark in the right hand and forehead. Yeah. That you can't buy a trip. Say, Aaron Russo. Thank you, Faith Menace Media. Aaron Russo, that's his name. Thank you, T'Challa. Aaron Russo said that. He said, the Rockefeller said, you're going to get your chip. You'll be in the upper class. Your chip will say, don't mess with me. We in them times now. See, while y'all playing games and denying the deity of the Savior and denying the virgin birth and denying that the Father is the Son and the Son the Father. Ain't nobody else could die for your sins but God himself. Ain't nobody else perfect, but y'all all caught up in the trap of the enemy. Caught in the trap of the people who are deceived and being deceived and leading others into deception. Manipulating the text. Ignoring scriptures that counter their beliefs. Y'all caught in the trap, some of y'all. The Luciferic order is here. The world governmental order is here. There's little freedoms left. And as you can see, the ones who are losing freedom the fastest is who? Negroes. Negroes losing rights faster than anybody else in the States. But it's coming for the rest of them too. See, they don't care right now because it ain't affecting them. Jeremiah 50, 28-30. Listen to the fugitives and refugees from Babylon declaring in Zion how Yahuwah, our Elohim, has taken vengeance for his temple. See, something was going on because we refugees. I told you, summon archers against Babylon, all those who draw the bow and camp all around her, let no one escape. But we get out, right? Because we're refugees. What did I say a refugee is? A refugee is someone who has been forced to flee their country because of persecution, war, or violence. Babylon is surrounded. Therefore, we become refugees. What happens when you're a refugee? You end up in the wilderness You don't have no hot and cold running water. You don't have access to the meat. You don't have access to the luxuries of life that you used to. Why? Because you're going through transition. You're going through trials. You're going through changes. You're being tested. Some of y'all going to make it and some of y'all not. Some of y'all going to get swallowed up like Korah. Probably the ones who deny the deity of Christ. Those who deny the virgin birth, they probably get swallowed up like Korah. See, when you're in the wilderness, you're a refugee. What do refugees come with? Clothes on their back, a few items in their hand to keep them warm, clothes to keep them warm, a little food, not much. And the longer you're in the wilderness and complaining, the longer you're going to stay. You be satisfied with what the Most High give you, then he'll get you out of there sooner. See, hopefully when we do go into the wilderness, aka refugees, that we pass the test this time. But it's all aligning. People being exposed, pastors being exposed, preachers, ministers, leaders, all being exposed. While at the same time, wars and rumors of wars, the threat of invasion, the threat of nukes and pew-pews. Daniel 2:43, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. See, I believe this is where we're going to have the 10-toe kingdom, Gentile kingdom, still running, world order, world government, what they call a multipolar order. And guess what? There's going to be an Israelite kingdom. In the days of these 10 shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom that shall never end. We're going back home. We're going to be there. But there's going to be a world government, and we're going to be working with them some kind of way, trading, I guess, at some point, some kind of way. Because in the end, who destroys the 10 toes? Yeshua. That rock that's cut out of a mountain that destroys the feet of the Gentile nation. But Yacoba, how does that work with the second Exodus? How does that work with the second Exodus? Because we're going to the wilderness first. We're refugees. Now, what happens with refugees? What happens with refugees, family? Come on now. At some point in time, a refugee becomes a migrant. So with these laws and these rules on the international order that is looking out and managing for refugees, they're going to say, well, what are we going to do about these Negroes? What did they call us Israelites at the time? I don't know. Apparently from the scriptures, they're going to realize who we are. But I told you, we're going back to the continent. But once we get back to the continent, how does all that work out? My opinion, eat the meat, spit out the bone. Isaiah 60. Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Okay, let's take note of this. And Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Now, let's look at this as a more modern terminology. Gentiles will come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. So Negroes ain't no longer last. They're becoming economically profitable, as what the United Nations say they want to do with migrants. As they wanted to send the Africans to Rwanda, they're going to send us to Ghana. They're going to send us to Senegal. They're going to send us to Tanzania. They're going to send us to other places, right? And we're going to start prospering. And when we start prospering, Gentiles are going to come to our light and to the brightness of our rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see all they gather themselves together. So everybody coming back from the wilderness, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. So everybody start coming back from the wilderness, going back home. Everybody may not be in Africa in the wilderness, right? Because refugees. Initially, refugees may end up in Mexico. Refugees may end up in Spain. Refugees may end up in the UK. Refugees may end up in Cuba. Refugees may be in any place that takes them. At some point, though, we go home. Gentiles are going to be drawn to the success of Africa. Gentiles are going to be drawn to the wealth increase. Did you see the deal that Museveni made with China? Let me try to finish this up. I can only go so far. I'm getting old. Countdown to conflict with Putin. Norway's defense chief become latest military figure to warn Europe. Has 3 years to prepare for war with Russia. I think it's sooner than that. So everything, prophetically speaking, is aligning, right? The wars, the invasion, the people positioning themselves on the continent. Something's about to happen. 1 second. All right, fam. Sorry about that. So yeah, we in the potential for World War III, where we have the puzzle pieces aligning. We have the migration, which, in my opinion, is preparation for the wilderness experience, the refugee experience, and then the return back to the continent.
This is Admiral Rob Bauer, chair of the NATO Military Committee, one of the top dogs in NATO, advising the planet that we need to prepare for World War III and that you need to start stockpiling stuff like there's no tomorrow. Let's see what he has to say.
You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's
okay. Maybe I exaggerated a little bit. Apparently, after 36 hours into World War III, everything's going to be just fine. The government's going to save us all.
simple things, but it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace.
I'd have to agree with him with that statement, because since World War II, the peace that we've been experiencing is exceptional. Never before throughout human history has there been as much peace, stability, and civility as there has been since World War II, in spite of the fact of all of the exported proxy wars that have happened since that time. Generally speaking, cheap energy, cheap labor, globalization have enabled us to have a relative state of peace and civility. I'll agree with that. Unfortunately, that's now coming to an end, and that's what he's saying here.
And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with with Russia and the terror groups if it comes to it, if they attack us.
Oh, okay.
We're not seeking any conflict.
I thought we were the bad
But
guys.
if they attack us, we have to be ready.
That's a relief that he clarified that. Now, guys, I am going to.
So do y'all think it's going to be 20 years or 20 days? That dude looks scared. He looks like he about to do something in his pants. So how close is it? Something's about to happen. In my opinion, mind you, now, maybe not. Maybe you're going to have 20 more years.
Things are getting a little bit worse with the United States military preparing for what they are calling a sustained military option on multiple fronts. Reports that are being sent to the U.S. government and the U.S. military right now show that China is simulating attacks on U.S. warships using both space weapon systems and hypersonic missiles. Japan and NATO, right here, they are in talks right now to establish a secure line of communication for the rapid exchange of sensitive, secure information. The new mechanism is a consideration that is intended to respond to cyber attacks and disinfo plots by the Chinese and the Russian governments. We have an incredible amount of distortion in our marketplace right now. They are saying that China and Russia are going to push for an economic crisis that sends chaos into the streets of the United States of America. Now, I don't know about you, but we do have a general understanding with economists that we are only a couple of days away from a supply chain issue, and we're also only a couple of days away from chaos in the streets given a black swan event.
So remember, in the previous video, I showed you the sheriffs who told you to start packing. Carry your pew-pews everywhere. And you have all of this stuff all coming together at the same time, but hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy. Like I said, and have said, how many people telling you this? How many people keeping you up to date on this? How many people have warned you beforehand that this is coming? How many people have been accurate in what they have said? Then how much more so do you think I'm accurate in my, not just eschatology, but hermeneutics? Well, fam, that's it. That's all I got. I'm tired. But understand this, that they're gonna push you out. They're gonna force you out. You're going to be so uncomfortable. You're gonna look for the first ticket to Africa. You're gonna look for the first way out to Africa, to the wilderness. You're gonna or to whatever nation in the beginning. Because, like I said, you're gonna be a refugee. That means you can be in any nation in the beginning, but end up in the wilderness in Africa. That's just how I see it. Maybe it won't play out that way. Maybe it will. But if we look at it historically, what we've seen historically on what happens with war, what happens when people are displaced, what happened to our ancestors in the past when they had to leave and flee Spain and Portugal, same thing. You're going to be refugees first. That's what the Bible teaches, in my opinion. And then we're going to end up going back. We'll see how it play out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, as the Admiral said, Boyer, maybe as he said, you got 20 years. Maybe you got 20 years. If you believe that, I got some great land in the desert for you. Don't listen to Tail Ministries. Fear. They say flee. How many videos on that? Your Cobra scared, Tail scared. They're telling us we should flee. I'm saying, no, you gon' flee. I told you that. That's what I've always said. You gon' flee. You're going to be a refugee. That's what the Bible teaches. Now, I don't care what you say. I know what the Bible says. Just like when y'all deny the deity of the Messiah. I don't care if you deny the deity of the Messiah. I know what the Bible says. I know that Yeshua and the Father is the same. I know that Yeshua is the visible representation of the Father because the Father is a spirit. I know what the Bible says. I don't care what you say. You can listen to who you want to. Guess what? Are they telling you about this? Are they telling you about these wars that's happening and the migration and how all these things fit in accordance with the word? How it fits in accordance with prophecy? How it fits in accordance with our second Exodus? Can see that half of them don't believe that. They say they believe it, some of them, but they don't believe it. They pick and choose scriptures that they want to believe in. Ain't nothing worse than a person who picks certain scriptures and ignore others. You a liar and the truth ain't in you. Well, you know, Yakoba, his name is Yawahashi. No, it's not. I don't know where y'all get that from. I ain't going to debate it with you. You want to call him Yawahashi? I don't care. I just think that y'all research abilities and understanding of text and research and all that, I think it's flawed. I know why y'all call him Yawahashi. Y'all want ties to the Native American Indians. I know. I ain't stupid. I ain't buying it. Well, y'all, that's all I got. Like I said, interesting times. We are definitely in the last days. If you want to support this ministry, you can by becoming a patron or Cash App $TEOTW7101. You can also give us a like. You can also share this video. Don't forget to go to tailministries.com website. We got articles over there. Don't forget to go to giftgivingforall.com if you want a mug and a t-shirt and a hoodie. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think 2024 is going to be serious. We definitely could become refugees. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah. And also, please support the Dry Bones Project.
KWT